Hey there. Happy Thursday. I'm Leslie Dories, your marriage coach, creator of the Hero Husband Project. And welcome to another day when I talk about marriage. And yay, a couple of things. Finally got my hair cut. Thank you, Caitlin. It's raining here in North Carolina due to the hurricane, and I really wish I could send some of this rain over to all my friends on the West Coast. Thinking about you and hoping everything's okay. And, that's one of those things that I'm talking about today. I'm talking about gratitude. Um, Sometimes it can be really, really hard to find something to be grateful for. I'm grateful for the rain, makes everything nice, and it's actually cooling things off here in North Carolina. So fall's almost on the way. Yay, my favorite month, my favorite season. But if you're in the middle of this difficult time, being in the middle of a pandemic, you're struggling with your kids, trying to teach them at home because online learning is crazy. I know my daughter's a teacher. It's a struggle for the teachers as well. So again, gratitude out to all of you who are working really, really hard on that. Gratitude is something that we actually take for granted. Um, it's really easy to focus on what isn't going well in our lives. And by the way, guys, there's a biological reason for that. We as human beings need to be aware of the things that could harm us. And that's why we tend to focus on what isn't working. So I want to ask you to just take a moment, right? Just just stop and think about the last time that you made an assumption about your partner, that you didn't know what they were thinking, but something about their behavior, attitude, facial expression, body language, whatever, was telling you that something was wrong. Where did your mind go? If you're like most of us, you didn't necessarily stop and ask them if they were having a difficult day or if they were struggling with something in the moment. There's an assumption that people make that my partner is upset and my partner is upset with me. That's focusing on the negative. That's the power of the negative in our lives. When there's a blank space, we generally do not fill it in with the best case scenario. Most of the time, we fill it in with the worst case scenario. And that actually impacts how we think about things. In fact, a colleague of mine, his name's Terry Reel, talked about the core negative image that we each have of our partners. It's what we think about our partners when they are at their worst. And what it does is it puts the lens through which we see our partners and our marriages. Okay. And it's very real. What we know, happiness studies show that it takes 3 to 5 positive interactions to balance out one negative one. That's how powerful the negative stuff is. And so if there's something going wrong in your relationship, if there's something that isn't working, that's going to be a bigger focus. You're going to focus on it more. And by the way, that's completely natural, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And that's where gratitude comes in. Okay. That's where finding the silver lining, finding the positive in what's going on. And sometimes the positive is just, thank you for helping me learn. I happen to be a big proponent of learning. Sometimes I have to learn things the hard way because I am a little hard-headed, but I'm almost always grateful for learning. And this is why our partners are in our lives. They're actually there to teach us stuff. Now, sometimes they're like the nasty teacher that we all had that wasn't very supportive and basically could make us feel bad. Sometimes they're like that wonderful teacher who we just couldn't wait to go to school for. but our partners are always going to be teaching us something. The question is, are we willing to learn? And if we have a negative lens, and that's how we see their behavior, it's going to be really hard to learn. Okay. And so, what goes into making that work better? How do we find things to be grateful for? To start to balance out that five, that 3-to-1, 5-to-1, to bring our relationships back into balance, into a good place. And one of the ways to do this is to keep a gratitude journal. To write down every single day the things that you're grateful for. And sometimes it's, I woke up and I'm breathing. Okay. And that's a good thing. And especially in these very, very difficult times, it can be hard to find things to be grateful for. But if you look for it, you can find it. It could be maybe your dog did something silly, or one of my all-time favorite things that I really wish it would be bottled is toddlers laughing. Because if you hear a toddler laugh, you can't be a grump. Okay. It's infectious, it's contagious. Smiles are infectious and contagious. And by the way, so is gratitude. When you start noticing and then sharing the things that you are grateful for that your partner brings to your life, it will shift the tone of your relationship. Now, and people can say, well, why should I do that? Well, it all depends on what you want. And some people say, well, my wife or my husband, they don't do anything that I'm grateful for. And I'm going to challenge you on that, because if that's truly the case, then you may want to take a look at your relationship. But most of the time, it's not true. Most of the time, we just look for what we expect to find. Now, I'm hoping that one of my sisters is not listening to this, because I've never talked to her about this. But one of my sisters and I did not get along for most of our lives. And I had a very negative view of her. And I once had to go to the hospital and have something done, and she sent me flowers. And my opinion of that, because I had a negative viewpoint of her, was she didn't send me flowers because she cared about me. She sent me flowers just so she could tell our mother that she did. Now, to this day, I've never asked her why she sent me flowers. I have changed my thinking about why she sent me flowers. And I don't know, because it's completely up to me how I want to perceive that. And you have that same ability. When you start looking at the positive things that your partner brings to your life, you will find them. And when you start looking at them and when you start noticing them, it's going to take that core negative image that you have and it's going to shift it, because it means giving our partners the benefit of the doubt. It means seeing their behavior in a more complete way, not just the closed down negative way that most of us look at our partners about. We complain about what's not working and we don't focus on the things that are. Okay. And some of the things that I hear is, well, my partner's a great husband. My partner's a great father. So the qualities of making a great father also are qualities that can make him a great partner. So the question is, are you looking at that? Or the same thing about your wife. Some of the qualities, if they're doing it in one area, that means they have the ability to do it in another. And they may actually be doing it that way. You just may not be paying any attention, or they're not being given the positive feedback that shows that you appreciate this. And this is what gratitude does. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to, starting today, to identify 3 things every single day that you are grateful for your spouse for. Now, by the way, I don't want you to use the same 3 things every single day, okay? But start looking, because I guarantee you that once you start looking, you will find some. And then I want you to share with them what those things are. Because again, it doesn't do any good if, well, it does some good. Let me rephrase that. It does some good to just acknowledge it yourself. It does your marriage good by sharing it, okay? By letting your partner know. Because once you, it's going to be, it's like a smile, okay? Or like I was talking about that little kid's laughter. It's contagious. When you start saying nice things to your partner, telling them about things that you appreciate about them, telling them about things that you're grateful for, it does a couple of things. First, it lets them know that you're noticing. And then it also encourages them to look at your positive qualities. Okay, so if you want to know why I'm asking you to go first, is because one, you're listening to this, and two, because it's like a snowball effect. Once you start, your partner will follow through. Okay, so what I want you to do is put down in the comment section for today the 3 things that you are going to share with your partner tonight that you are grateful to them for. Okay, so until next week, stay loving.